So I wanted to share a video on my personal experience with inner child work. And I'm going to take you through my own inner child process. It helps me to integrate my feelings. It helps me to understand where I am in this present moment. It also helps me to clear away some trauma. It's an integration experience where I take an emotion and I go back to a memory in my childhood that I felt that same emotion. I have a little conversation with myself, and then I get some guidance from my wise, sage 80-year-old version of me. And one emotion that often comes to the surface for me, whether I start with it or not, is anger. And I think that a lot of people can relate to having unresolved trauma that shows up as unexpressed anger. Like if you're somebody who never gets angry, or when you do get angry, it's like, whoa, that was crazy. But generally you slough things off a lot. You don't get angry easily. You have a lot of patience for undesirable behavior. I guess, give a lot of condolences to people. You let a lot of things slide. And over time, that kind of adds up. And you're really just doing yourself a disservice because we see, especially for women, we see anger as an emotion that we need not express. Don't get angry. Don't get angry, get even. No, don't do that either. Um, so it can be one of those things that to process the feeling of anger is complicated. I know for myself, I would not identify as an angry person. Like I don't get angry over things very easily. And so if you're somebody who doesn't get angry, it's like that's not healthy either. It's okay to get angry, but like in a healthy way and in a valid and legitimate way, like to have your anger validated. Say, yeah, you're allowed to be angry for that. Most times we're told, don't get angry for that. Or no need to get upset. No need to get upset over things. And that's just doing ourselves a disservice, like I said. So here's the process. I'm going to take you through, and this one's pretty fresh. This is one that I went through last night. Now, because I've been doing this for so many years, I've been doing this for, gosh, I think going on 5 years and practicing it fairly regularly. More recently, been practicing it a lot more. When you have so many tools in trauma recovery, like a mindset tool, I heavily developed a really strong mindset tool for myself that was very helpful and grounding and bringing me back to neutrality, bringing me back to a neutral point. So you have mindset, I have, using meditation, using breath work. Those are all tools, using dance and using music. Those are tools that I was, more comfortable to use and would more often use those tools. Inner child work requires a little bit more intention. You have to just say, okay, we're going to go in and we're going to explore this. And sometimes you might not be ready for it or feel like you're ready to deal with what's going to come up. So this one came up pretty fresh for me last night. I was laying in bed and I was feeling scared. I was feeling scared about my future, about my business, about where it was going, about if I was making the right choices, if I was making the right moves, scared about, am I going to last? These fears that I was having. And so I was laying there in bed and I decided while I was in bed to help get me to sleep, you know. I got this emotion. I want to process this emotion before I go to sleep. So I laid there and first I sensed where I felt the feeling in my body, right? Because a lot of times you want to have the somatic attachment. You want to have the somatic experience of your feelings. And so for me, the fear, the scaredness showed up in my fingertip. It's like this line, this vibrating line, this stick that was there. And so I felt it there. And then it was red. It was this red line, like a stick. So I attach a color to it, I attach a shape to it. It didn't really have a temperature, but it had like a texture, like a zinging, like a vibrating kind of experience that I had. This nervousness, scared feeling. And from there, I wanted to take myself back to an earlier memory, maybe the first time that I felt scared. And so I wanted to bring myself back to an earlier memory, the first time I felt this fear. And it immediately brought me back to when I think I was 7 years old, maybe I was 8. And I was in the upstairs bathroom. We lived in a back split kind of house. So from the bathroom door, you could see down the stairs right to the front door. And my dad had just come to pick me up for the weekend. Maybe it was just for just Saturday. I don't know if I was staying over. And I didn't want to go with him. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to leave the house. I just wanted to stay home. I didn't want to go. And so when I knew he had arrived, I locked myself in the bathroom. But the lock didn't work in the bathroom. And he was able to just walk right in, and he carried me out, and he grabbed my shoes, and he put me in the back seat of the car, and there my stepmom was and my dad. But my memory that I brought myself back to was being in the bathroom scared. And so what were my beliefs? So I wanted to tap into my 7-year-old Freya and ask her, what was I thinking? What was I so afraid of? And asking her. And so the beliefs that she had were beliefs that were given to her from her mom, who would tell her it's not safe to be with your dad. Unsafe things happen when you go to your dad. And that wasn't false. It's not safe. He's not safe to be around. That was my belief. He is not safe to be around. And so I started talking to myself and saying, it's okay. You can go. Because there needs to be some context here, okay? Like my dad recently passed away at the end of January. And so after his death, I had started sort of romanticizing my relationship with him and seeing all the good things in him. And being thankful and grateful that I did have some nurturing moments with him before he passed away. But like how much time I actually spent with my father in my lifetime was not a lot. Like if I added up all the days, all the hours that of my life that I got to spend time with him, I mean, it might only account for a year, let's say, because he left when I was 2, and then I would only see him once a week. And sometimes there would be months that would pass that I wouldn't see him at all. And then as I got older, I wouldn't see him for months, and not a lot of time that I spent growing up with him. So what I wanted to say to my little child in that moment, while she's scared, and I wanted to reassure her, and I wanted to tell her, because I ended up going, and everything was fine. I mean, the police showed up. It was a big rigmarole. Okay. The police showed up. They're like, do you want to be? I'm like, no, I want to go home. But family court orders, all these things. Like I had to stay. I had to go. It was fine. I came back. It was whatever. But I wanted to give myself a talk about how she was feeling scared. And I wanted to let her know that she didn't need to feel scared, and tell her that it was safe and that it was okay. And you're going to have a good time. Because while I'm romanticizing my dad recently in my relationship with him, I've also not been having a good relationship with my mother. She continues to not have a good view of my dad, and she continues to not really encourage my relationship with him. Like there's just a whole thing there. So I was thinking, well, maybe my mom was overreacting back then, right? Like, maybe there was some flaw in her that was influencing me. And so I wanted to give her just this, I wanted to give my little Freya the straight goods and just let her, you're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. So I was there, I was doing that. And then the anger came out. Then I had this image, okay, because I'm doing this with my eyes closed, I'm there, I'm in the bathroom. I see my dad, and I'm trying to tell myself to just, you're going to be okay, you're going to be fine, nothing to worry about. As a message to me in my current fear that I'm experiencing, my current kind of scared emotion that I'm trying to process, that you're going to be fine, it's going to be okay. And what I and the vision that came into me was punching my dad in the face, knocking him out, just giving him a big old punch in the head. And that shocked me. It shocked me in how good it felt to do that. And I think as my little Freya, she recognized, no, this guy isn't doing anything for us. He's not contributing to our life in a positive way. He actually isn't. He's an alcoholic. He's irresponsible. He just shows up and he takes you like you're a toy. He's not, he's not really offering anything of great substance to your life right now. He's not enriching your life. He's not taking very good care of you. So I punched him in the face because I think I was also angry. I wasn't scared. I was also angry. I was also maybe, doing some sort of protest, trying to assert myself. Be like, will you just show up here? Just act like everything's normal, everything's okay, but I'm not having a good time. I'm not having a good time in this life over here. I gotta live in this house with this mother and this new dad and these two half siblings. I don't even belong anywhere. And you pick me up when you feel like it and take me around. We have fun. You bring me back. And my mom complains about how you didn't, take proper care of me while we were gone. And she bad talks you. And it's just, I'm just pissed off with the whole thing. And so I got all this anger out and I started bawling my eyes out, realizing the anger that I had. It's like it brings you this sadness to know that you have this anger, that you've been repressing, that you've been suppressing the anger for what? To be a nice person, to be nice. We don't need to have any hate on our parents, just doing the best they can. And that's true. They were doing the best they could. He was an alcoholic. I can't even imagine the upbringing that he came from with his parents. His father was an alcoholic too. Practically all of his brothers struggle with alcoholism or some addiction. But still, go ahead, be that way, have that kind of life. But it takes a toll on your kid. It takes a toll on your family. So I allowed myself to get angry and I cried through that anger. And I witnessed myself punching him in the face and saying to my little Freya, no, you're right. No, you weren't treated very nicely. Actually, you weren't. You didn't need to have this kind of childhood. This wasn't okay. No. And I held her. I held her in her little blonde hair that she had. I held her in my lap in the bathroom. And I just kept her little head right here. I just told her, I'm there for you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you now. I'm here to love you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to give you compassion. I am here to listen. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always showing up for you. And if I haven't been showing up because we've been a little bit scared about what's been going on in my life, let's just show up for ourselves. Let's be here for ourselves. Let's let ourselves know that whatever it is that we're going to go through, we're going to be okay. Because so long as I don't abandon myself like other people did, and then just think they can show up whenever they feel like it, think that I'm going to be okay with that. No, we're going to be consistent. We're going to consistently be showing up for ourselves. We're not going to be abandoning ourselves anymore. I'm not going to be abandoning you. And that felt very comforting. It felt very relieving to let go of anger and to acknowledge the anger and to validate the anger. And then soothe and calm myself. And then I needed to be visited by my wise 80-year-old self, my sage self, that woman in who I imagined her to be. And if she was to come to me while I'm experiencing this fear, feeling scared, what would she tell me? And it took a while to access that because I was still stuck on the whole punching my dad in the face vision. I was like, wow, that we didn't expect that. That was an incident. Ooh, wow. You know, and when I imagine what happened after I punched him in the face, he just disappeared. It's like he was gone. He was over. Wasn't any fighting back. Wasn't anything. It was just done. It was just like KO'd, you know? Well, I then closed the door and then comforted my little me. But my wise sage self, yeah, it took a little while for me to hear that voice. And that voice was, hey, you know what? Things might happen. Things that you don't want to have happen might happen. And that's okay. That's okay if they do. We're going to get through that too. There's no point in being scared about something that you don't have any control over. What do you have control over right now? What can you do for yourself? And you can show up for yourself in this moment. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep showing up for yourself. Just keep comforting yourself. Just having your own self-awareness and your self-love, your self-compassion. Just keep doing that. You know what you're doing. You know, the future is going to have challenges. That is for sure. But it's probably not going to be the challenges that you think are going to happen. It's going to be something totally different. So whatever it is that you're afraid of right now is not what the challenge is going to be that's in store for you. We always have challenges. And it's not going to be that scary. And look at the scary things you've been through before. See, you can get through them. And then oh no. Oh gosh, whenever there's like light flickers, it's like a thing, you know? So then I go to asking my higher self, my sage self, what do you want me to do? There needs to just be like some level of action, some loving action that we're going to take, you know, as we're processing this fear. And that message is to keep going, just to keep going, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing right now where you are is perfect. Look at you. You're tuning into your feelings. You're looking for information within your feelings. You're processing them. Wow, look at you. Don't second guess yourself. Just always know that every choice you make is getting you to where it is you're supposed to be. Even if those places are challenges, you're supposed to get to that challenge. That challenge is waiting for you. That's the challenge that you're meant to have. So just keep going. So I drifted off to sleep. I woke up this morning feeling confident and refreshed. The fear was gone. I was ready just to be in the moment and just do the things that I wanted to do today without that fear being present as it was when I went to sleep last night. So, because I've been doing this practice for many years and I help guide other people through this practice as well, I can stay very present and grounded for it. But it's not an easy thing to go through, and it's not an easy thing to process. And you really do need to debrief about it afterwards, like journal about it, write down what your experience was so that you can remember it. And I have a few other experiences that I've documented that if you'd like to hear a few others, I'd be happy to share. So you can get a feeling of what it's like to connect with your inner child and how it helps to ease your emotions and process some unresolved trauma that might be lurking about. Thanks for listening. Until next time.